Do you see these guys standing over here all alone, waiting for someone to love them? Don't ignore them. Welcome on in, everybody. Today I want to discuss companions. Full disclosure, we are not going to go into all the late stage in-game builds for them. Today I actually mainly want to focus on 3 points around companions. Sort of, what are companions, why you should use them, and the gear you should be on the lookout to use with your companions for about 90% of your gameplay. Having said that, let's jump into the video. So if you don't actually know where to find companions, you can find them standing in groups in every town in adventure mode. The important part is they cost you absolutely nothing to hire, and you can swap between the companions as often as you like. So one of the great things about companions is their skills have abilities that will add buffs to your character. If you take that and mix it with different pieces of equipment that you can put on them, you can actually get some really great results. This is going to bring us to the first question that we asked at the beginning of the video, which is, what are companions really? In all honesty, you should view companions as a way to buff your character, i.e. a stat stick. It's not to say that you can't use the Templar as a pseudo tank, or find utility from the Scoundrel or the Enchantress in specific builds. There are definitely a ton of different ways to build and utilize your companions, but this guide is going to focus more on general gameplay, which takes up about 80% of your time in Diablo 3. Adding a companion to your gameplay has no negative side effects. Enemies stay the same difficulty, whether you're using them or not. And because of that single fact, there's no reason not to use them. In early stages of adventuring, they can actually be strong allies to help DPS or soak up damage. However, where they really shine is in late game, where they are an indispensable stat stick. They typically have skills that can actively or passively buff you, and combine that with the equipment that they wear that has emanating buffs to your character, they become nearly indispensable. This guide does not focus on gearing out your followers or high stage greater rift pushes. That's not the goal here. The goal is actually to help you think about the itemization choices for while you're speedrunning greater rifts or while you're farming keys and bounties, as ultimately this is where you're going to spend 80 to 90% of your time in-game. For general farming, most people use the Enchantress. It's not actually required that you use her, but her kit does lend itself well to speedrunning content. No matter what follower you decide to use for farming, there are some solid gear recommendations that I suggest you look for when equipping your followers. So when bounty and key farming, there are actually 2 different set bonuses that I would suggest you pick up and make sure your character has. The first one is actually the Sage's set bonus. With the 3-piece bonus here, you get double Death's Breath drops. Now this does stack with the shrine effects, and this is a great way to amass just a boatload of Death's Breath. Another 3-piece bonus that I would suggest you try to pick up is the Cane set. With the full bonus here, you get a chance at additional Greater Rift keys dropping when Greater Rift keys drop. Equipping this set will help immensely when you farm for keys. Ultimately, you don't want to wear 3 pieces of both of these sets, so just equip 2 pieces of each set and wear the Royal Ring of Grandeur to give you the full set bonus. Also keep in mind that both of these sets do not drop out in the wild, and you have to craft them to get them. Outside of these sets, you will want to be on the lookout for a handful of legendary items that do have emanating buffs, and use these to fill in gaps in your sets. These are items such as the Broken Crown, Homing Pads, Gold Skin, Nemesis Bracers, Gloves of Worship, Flavor of Time, and the Avarice Band. Now, when speed farming greater rifts, I would suggest you do make a few changes to the setup that you would typically use when farming keys and bounties. I would actually nix the Sage set altogether, as you will not be getting any greater rift keys while you're farming greater rifts. I would consider replacing it with Talrosh's Pursuit, because it gives you a nice attack speed bonus, and either Leoric's Crown or the Broken Crown. I would also suggest taking off the Royal Ring of Grandeur, and replacing it with the Hellfire Ring of Intelligence, and pairing this with the Oculus Ring. You can also look at putting the Ice Climbers on your Enchantress to help keep her from getting CC'd. In general farming, you actually want your Enchantress's focus to unlock all of her skills. This is a great way to increase the amount of bonuses you have and help you run the content faster. A great way to keep your Enchantress from dying is actually to socket in Mutilation Guard gems and one Esoteric gem. This will help keep her defense up and keep her from going down while you're grinding. Also, don't bother putting any other legendary gems on the Enchantress, as no other legendary gems work on followers. A great general weapon to use while grinding is the Pig Sticker, but make sure if you pick one of these up, it doesn't roll with an innate socket. It's better to get it to drop with all of the stats on it and add a socket with Ramaladin's Gift than it is to pick one up that already has a socket on it. So speaking of the Enchantress, a lot of her skills scale with her intelligence. So make sure to add intelligence gems to all of her gear when you can, and also keep an eye on the best rolls for her gear to really optimize her skills and help you while grinding. One last thing to keep in mind is that follower gear does not save when you save your loadout. So you would actually have to manually switch out your followers' gear if you decide to go from a farming build to a pushing build or make any real changes. Hopefully this information helps you get your followers up and running. There are so many different ways you can use your followers depending on the situation you find yourself in. The point of this guide was mainly to help you see your followers as an extension of yourself and less as a useless sidekick. If you found this guide helpful, consider leaving me a like and subscribing to the channel. And as always, have a great day.